Pope Francis met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy for the first time since the war broke out in Ukraine. EWTN Vatican Bureau Chief Andreas Thonhauser has more on this important meeting and the Holy Father's other activities in a very busy weekend.
There were several important stories coming out of the Vatican this weekend, starting with a highly anticipated audience at the Vatican on Saturday afternoon between Pope Francis and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. In the meeting, which lasted 40 minutes, President Zelenskyy asked the Holy Father to support a 10-point plan for peace. The Pope assured President Zelenskyy of his constant prayers and agreed on the need to continue humanitarian efforts to support Ukraine. They are reported to have discussed ways the Vatican might be able to help repatriate children abducted from Ukraine. Over 19,000 children are estimated to have been taken to Russia or Russia-occupied Crimea since February 2022. The Pope particularly stressed the urgent need for gestures of humanity towards the most fragile people, the innocent victims of the conflict. The meeting was the first between the Holy Father and the Ukrainian President since February 2020, less than a year after President Zelenskyy was elected. After the meeting, President Zelenskyy met Archbishop Gallagher, Holy See Secretary for Relations with States. A Vatican statement said that there was a focus on the current war in Ukraine and the urgencies connected with it, particularly those of a humanitarian nature, as well as the need to continue efforts to achieve peace. The statement also said it is propitious to deal with some bilateral issues, especially related to the life of the Catholic Church in the country. Early in the day, President Zelenskyy met Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who assured him of Italy's all-around support for Ukraine, particularly for wheat export initiatives. This was reiterated by Sergio Mattarella, President of the Italian Republic, who also called the abduction of Ukrainian children despicable. Also on Saturday, Pope Francis expressed his sorrow for a new Portuguese law allowing medically assisted suicide in certain cases. Saturday was the feast day of Our Lady of Fatima, who appeared 6 times to 3 shepherd children in a field in Fatima, Portugal, in 1917. I am sad because in the country where Our Lady appeared, a law for killing has been enacted. Yet another step in the list of countries that have approved euthanasia, the Holy Father said at a meeting with the World Union of Catholic Women's Organizations. On Friday, May the 12th, Portugal's parliament voted to pass the legislation. It states that a person requesting assisted suicide should be in a situation of great intensity of suffering with definitive injury of extreme gravity or serious and incurable disease. On Sunday, during his Regina Coeli address, Pope Francis made an appeal for peace in the Holy Land after recent violence. The Holy Father called for an end to the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians, saying with weapons all hope is destroyed. At the same address, Pope Francis remembered all mothers for Mother's Day by entrusting them to Mary, saying they are still among us, even those who have gone to heaven, and prayed for her intercession in the war in Ukraine. We turn to Mary, the Holy Father said, asking her to alleviate the suffering of the martyred Ukraine and all nations wounded by war and violence. In Rome, Andreas Thonhauser, EWTN News Nightly.